Deanna's back. Yay!
I'm here.
She's here. Woohoo.
What's going on?
Well, it's the time of year.
I know. I love before this, we're just talking about like anxiety and stress.
Oh my gosh. We're talking about like kids and different ages and challenges. It's, December's an interesting time. It is. It's like thinking about the end of the year, thinking about the holidays.
I feel like, of course there's that Hallmark thing of we're all supposed to be happy and jolly, and it's not.
I don't think that's
It's not always the case. No.
I'm definitely having a not very festive holiday season this year because
I hear you.
We're stuck at home with a baby who can't go out because we don't want him to get RSV, and we just don't have a lot of family around this year for various circumstances, so it feels a little small maybe, which is like, I think I'm also trying to get in the mindset of like, oh, it's nice to have a small holiday.
Right. You're in your snow globe.
Yeah, exactly. And I need to get the magic going. Like the snow needs to start moving.
Sure.
I need to shake up the ball.
Sure, shake the ball. Yeah.
That whole thing. I do think it's going to be fun to have Christmas this year with my oldest son, who's 3.5 almost, and I think this is the first year where he's truly gonna know what's going on.
Yeah.
So
like the magic.
Yeah.
He's gonna know the snow. He's gonna see the magic in the snow globe.
How about you and your family and holidays?
It's so fucking stressful because it's like the elf. I couldn't find the fucking elf on the shelf, and I was like,
oh my God.
The kids were like, where the fuck is the elf? I was like, I was like, I think he's caught up in the North Pole.
I did.
And then it's like, I found the goddamn elf. No, my partner, Andrew, found it. And then we're like, where's the hat? And then it's like, because I don't know if the hat gives it magic or whatever the story is, because I can't find the book.
I have never done Elf on the Shelf. That's not something I grew up with, so I don't really know.
It's stressful, and I keep on forgetting to move it.
Oh.
And, my youngest wakes up, and he's like, why didn't the elf go back and talk to Santa last night? And I'm like, what do you mean? Because the elf's just straight up chilling in the same sugar bowl he's been in for 3 days.
Listen, the amount of things that you need to keep track of for a child during Christmas, you have to keep up the lie of Santa Claus. You have to put the elf on the fucking shelf. You have to do the advent calendar, the gingerbread house, the sugar cookie.
Oh my God.
It's a lot of stuff.
Yeah, and it's just so the elf has failed and he still hasn't found his hat, and then it's just I'm to my kids, I'm like, it's gonna be a lean Christmas, and they're like, what does lean mean? And I'm like, well, Santa, he's
trimming down.
He's just he's gonna trim down and give you a couple presents, because let's be honest, it's all bullshit.
Yes,
the kids don't need a lot of crap.
I heard so I subscribe to the Parents Magazine podcast, which is, they have a daily parenting tip that's 5 minutes every day. And I don't listen to them all, but one of them was about gift giving for kids. And they were your parents' inclination is to get them a lot of stuff and make it whatever. But really it's if you focus on 2 to 3 things that they'll really enjoy, and that is more than good enough, and they don't even know the difference. I feel so much of it is about us and
us self-worth or
I heard another podcast that was really interesting about gift giving too. And what
did it say?
Well, that so often we there were a lot of things, but one of the main takeaways I had was that so often in gift giving, we are so consumed with what we want in the gift giving process versus what that person really wants, and some crazy amount of waste happens through gift giving because people just don't want the shit that they receive. And it's they also said gift cards are great. Just give a gift card. Money will be better for an adult or whatever than anything you can give them, even if you think it's not thoughtful or whatever. It's people appreciate cash.
Yes. No, I think you're right. I think it is I did feel not guilty, but I was asking Andrew, I was should we blah blah blah?
Yeah.
And it's no, like we're not going. We actually gave them. We haven't been on vacation, so we did give them. We're giving them a trip.
Ooh,
so it's like an experience.
Also a great gift.
That's what's So that's the tree, but it's like we're not going until March, and so they're going to be like, da. Okay, where's like
Yeah.
where's the gift? But it's just that is my own insecurity as a parent.
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunately like the capitalist engine that is America. Commercials and other kids, and the grocery store is just piled with like useless shit that kids see and they want.
Useless shit. Yeah, I know. Go into Costco.
Yeah,
I mean, we love Costco.
We love Costco. It's
like,
this is a Costco stand.
But there's so much crap, like in that middle aisle section of like all those toys. And my oldest son's, his eyes just get so big, and it's like you don't even know what you're looking at.
I know. It's like it just. They honestly, I feel like they study what kids will like be drawn to so that you'll buy it and they can make more money. It's all about that. But
it's all about consumerism, and like I don't want to be a part of it.
Happy holidays, everybody.
Happy, I know.
But we are actually here to talk about episode 6 of Family Karma. And the Watch What Happens Live that happened after it.
Tell me. And maybe we'll touch on White Lotus in a little bit of...
we got to talk about White Lotus. That'll be our pop culture special for the end.
Are you caught up on Potomac?
Not
Atlantic. Potomac?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
But let's just talk about Watch What Happens Live really fast.
So, yeah. Why did they put Bali behind the bar?
Okay. Can we take a little credit here, because I like made a big stink about it in some social media posts, and I'm going to just hope that Bravo paid attention to them. I tagged them in all of these things, and I feel like it was a very much a last minute, like, oh, we need more Family Karma representation, but we booked all these guests, so let's just put Bali behind the bar. That's what it felt like to me.
She looked incredible.
She looked incredible. She did a great job, like, with the little she was given. But the way Andy clearly did not know what her name was, because he's like had to stumble reading the prompter, which is like ridiculous, and then mispronounced it, and pretty much every other cast member's name.
Yeah.
I was like literally cringing watching it. Like I was like, Andy, or someone at Bravo, like if you know Andy's not watching this show, can you give him a 5-minute primer before he gets on the air so that he can actually say these people's names correctly? Because it's so fucking insulting.
It's so, and again, like I'm Italian American and people pronounce my first name wrong all the time. And this is just like to get a mammogram. Yeah. This isn't even like
yeah, like I'm just at
you know what I mean? Like this is to get like, my psoriasis checked out.
Yes.
Like this isn't on national television, and it's like so it doesn't put me on the spot really and that much more, but like this is national television,
I mean, and Bali, like I'm sure when she heard him call her Bali, like
it's the
fact that she still kept it together and answered the questions, like I probably would have gotten a little flustered. I mean, I don't know, maybe not, because like you, people mispronounce my name all the time.
What do people pronounce your first name as?
Well, like they say Indra, which is incorrect, but that's the most common thing that like people who don't grow up speaking Hindi or hearing that like say. And so it's okay. That's fine.
Do people ever be like Indy?
That has been a nickname by some friends from time to time, and that's okay. We actually know a couple who, similar situation, the dad is white and the mom is Indian, and they have a daughter named Indra, but they call her Indy. But like beyond the like cute middle school pet name that it was for me for a little while, like I would really, if someone just like voluntarily started calling me Indy, I'd probably be like, I'd rather you didn't call me that. So anyway, I mean, like when you say Bali, it's like it's so clear that her name is Bali on the show. Like there's no question about it. It's like, okay, you clearly have never seen this show and have given like no shits about it. Like just none at all. And it's just really, I was almost like, it would be better if she wasn't even on than to have
Well, you
this.
think of like, I imagine there's this whole walk toward the stage to sit in the chair where the assistant or whatever is briefing him.
Yeah.
And especially in our Lord's year of 2022, we know so much about like cultural respect and how much a name plays into that, respecting, and in this case, both culturally and with a show that's on air.
Yeah.
That I don't understand why that. Who are the other two guests?
So that's the other thing. It was Karen Huger. Okay, great. You know, Potomac was on. But then it was Eva, who used to be on Atlanta.
America's Next, and who was on Real Girlfriends or Real Housewives or whatever.
And it's like, what the fuck? She's not on a current show right now. Put her behind the bar and have Bolly sitting in that chair. Like, and honestly, like, she kind of took up a lot of the airtime during the episode, and it was super fucking boring.
Eva?
Yeah. It was all about her new BET show, which, like, great. We want to promote whatever she's doing, but not at the expense of a show that's actually on your network, Bravo. Like, with a full cast of people of color, too. Like, what the fuck? It's just like, it's insulting. I'm like, I can't believe we're in season 3 of this show and this is how the cast is being treated still.
I'm wondering, so we have a Bravo contact that we're back and forth. Is it worth reaching out to them and just being like, hey, like, we are just like a little disappointed that...
I feel like making noise on social media is actually the best thing we can do, because like, people are seeing it. Like, the comments are wild when I post stuff.
I love it.
People are like mad about it, and they're tagging Andy, they're tagging Bravo, like. But I don't know. Yeah, maybe we should bring it up with them too. It's kind of like, I feel like there's this whole dance of like, we don't want to piss them off or not, and I'm kind of like, fuck it, whatever. Like,
yeah, I agree. Like, fuck it. I think it's just like, I mean, I feel like there's a little bit of like an outliers quality to us. Again, like, we do have contact with, not to toot our own horn, but like, I do think that there is a little bit of an outliers with us versus other Bravo podcasts.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I think in going into 2023, and I feel like the older you and I get, and we've been at this for like almost 3 years supporting it, and it's just like, who gives a fuck? You know what I mean? And I just like want to reiterate, it's just like, again, like, people get my name wrong all the time. They see it and they say Dina, they say Diana, and then sometimes they're like, can I just call you Diana? And I'm like, well, that's not the name.
No,
you know?
that is
and it's like also insulting when I don't even go when I, you know, and when they're like, oh, what's your name? And they write your name on at like a coffee shop. I won't even say my name because it's just like
triggering. I bet.
The labor of like seeing how they spell it. And I know it's like phonetically looks different, my name, because it's with one N.
Yeah.
But it's just like, again, like, that's just in like getting my fucking like chai tea that's gonna calm me down. It's not on national TV. I'm not getting prepped and primed for it.
No.
And like having makeup artists, and I think it's just like, this stuff needs to be talked about, because like, there is so much respect. And maybe it's just because I'm in higher education right now, and it's kind of really nailed into teachers about how
you show respect.
Yeah. And there's even like a thing when you kind of sign into classes, it's called like name coaching. And you say your name the way you want it to be pronounced.
Interesting.
And it's like, this isn't on national TV, and this isn't a television show that's been on for 3 seasons.
Yeah. No.
And it's just I just guess I'm just curious of the conversations that happen behind closed doors with Bravo regarding the
Andy,
TV show in general.
Because this is a specific problem with Andy. And like, he just has that like, fuck it, I don't care energy about so much stuff that I could just see him totally not being receptive to feedback around this, you know, when like, really it's a microaggression. Like, it is. I'm sorry.
It's rude, and I think it's just like, I don't know, it's the carelessness of kind of, this is your job, I'm not going to excuse if
It
was
is
like
his
once,
job.
maybe.
He's getting paid
this
so
is-
much to do this stupid shit.
Imagine if God got to heaven, like, okay, so say like if you believe in God and you're sitting at the pearly gates and St. Peter, again, this is Catholicism, which I'm not Catholic, but
Yeah.
it's ingrained in me because it's my DNA.
Yeah.
Like lets you through the pearly gates and God's sitting down and he's like, Dina Blanco. And I'd be like, what the fuck? But this is kind of Andy because he's both St. Peter, letting you through the pearly gates, and he's God, so it's like, fuck that.
It's so true. Okay, I just have to tell one final story about names.
Put us behind the bar. Put us behind the goddamn bar.
I'm gonna put it out there right now. There needs to
Was
be
he
a
jokes for
reunion
days,
for this
looks for
show.
days?
There needs to be a reunion, and they need to have you and me
Put
host
us.
it.
Oh my God! Could you fucking believe it?
Well, we would. I mean, you can't have Bravo Andy hosting a reunion for a show he's never seen, and he can't pronounce any of the people's names. Like, come on. I have to tell one more story about names because it's my mom.
Oh, we could. This is an important topic for a South Asian podcast.
Yes.
Is cultural.
Yes.
How to culturally pronounce your name. I believe this is totally on point. And I want to hear from. Is it okay before I stop you? I want to hear from listeners. Like, what is the most, like, what are they saying about your name?
Yes.
Are they joking about it? Because, like, people, they don't know how to take a correction in name, I realize, with my name.
I want people to drop us a voice memo.
Oh my God, and we'll play
at
it.
familykarmacast with a K at gmail.com. Send us a voice memo and we will put it on our next podcast.
I actually want to take it further. Okay. On your social media, tag, like, say, like, or do a TikTok. This is how people think my name is pronounced, but this is the way it's pronounced.
Yeah.
And I think it's just like we can all learn from something.
Totally.
And so, Indra, let's say your name.
So
Indra.
It's Indra. If you're pronouncing it, if you're like a native Hindi speaker or you've been around like Indian accents your whole life, you should be able to say Indra. But I recognize that like a lot of people who have not grown up around that can't. So if it's not that, then say Indra. I prefer that to Indra. But
wait, so say it again. So say
just Indra.
The difference again.
Like the J is the part that's like, I understand why people do it, but I'd prefer it just to be Indra. So
Indra.
Yeah, exactly. But it's okay. Like, I just want to tell the story about my mom.
It's okay and it's not okay. Okay, keep going.
So my mom's name is Jyotsna Raj, which is Jyotsna is a tricky name, but it's...
Can you spell it?
Jyotsna. It's pretty phonetic, honestly.
Jyotsna.
Yeah.
Am I saying?
Yeah.
Jyotsna.
Jyotsna. And so she like is a part of all these groups here in Boulder, which is super white. And she's like the only person of color at any of these things. And this one lady was like... went up to her and called her Raj, which is something that happens to all of us in our family all the time. I get called Raj on a regular basis because people will see Raj and they've heard it before, so they just assume that that's my first name when it's clearly in the last name box.
We're not passing you the football.
No.
You know what I mean? It's not like we're on the field and we're saying, Raj,
no,
go deep.
No. So this woman calls my mom Raj and she goes, actually, my name is Jyotsna. Like, please call me Jyotsna. And she's like, oh, that's hard. I think I'm just going to call you Raj.
Yeah.
And my mom was like, okay. And she was like, I'm going to call you your last name then too. Is that okay? And then this woman like didn't know what to say. And I was like, fuck yeah, mom.
Good for her.
Like,
good for her.
It's so insulting. It's like, I can't take the time to even try. Like, I've had people in my life who have really tried to like be able to say my name a certain like correctly or whatever, and it's hard for them, and they end up just saying something else, and that's okay because like I know they tried, like it's just like when someone's like, I'm just gonna call you this because
what I told you, that's what they say to me, because it's like with my name, it's you can say Deanna or Deanna, like either one's fine. I'm named after an ancestor, Anna. So it's like,
Yeah.
it's like my mom called me Deanna and my dad calls me Deanna. So it's like, whatever.
Oh,
But
okay. Interesting.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And Andrew calls me Deanna and other people call me Deanna. So it's like, whatever. But a lot of people be like, oh, like Princess Diana. And I'm like, not really.
Yeah.
And then I told you, it's like, can I just call you Diana?
No.
You know, and it's just like this assumption. It's just like,
It's so
like, what am I supposed to say?
Yeah,
You know, and
I
also
know.
like, of course,
And
I've
it's
had jokes
tiring.
named about. Yeah, it's exhausting. And it's like, I remember I just like when I was younger, I just wanted a name that phonetically made sense.
Yeah.
You know, I would be like, why didn't my parents put the extra N in it or whatever?
Yeah.
But that's just the way it goes. And it's like, you know, especially a female, I feel like addressing their name is definitely like, of course, with anyone, a sign of respect. And it's like, again, I'm going to get into the social justice aspect, but like there's such a hierarchy with like the patriarchy. And it's like when you are especially insisting on calling a woman, like, and especially a woman of color, a different name, it's like,
Yeah.
we are like trying to be the authority, and that there's no room for that in 2022.
No, there's not. There really is not. So bravo, get it straight. Andy, fucking figure your shit out, because it's not cool anymore. And I was literally appalled. Honestly, I feel like I would rather have Bali actually sitting in a chair than like whatever bullshit that was the other night. Like, I wish he hadn't
put
even
our
been
queen on the throne. Put our queen on the throne.
Exactly. Okay, so let's
Like
talk about the episode.
Okay.
We're like 20 minutes in. Okay, so the first thing we see is Rishi and Monica in the rain, and he's admitting that he lied about the timeline of knowing this information.
I think it's interesting, the social media feedback on.
Yes. Go say more.
And should we say, I mean, people do not believe him. To put it very bluntly, I've seen Run Monica Run. I've seen.
I don't think I've seen any comments that are like, oh, I don't think he did it. Everyone is like, he's fucking cheating. Leave him. Like, all this shit.
I am just like, it's tough. Okay, so I think like the thing we should keep in mind is male Bravo celebrities, the track record for them is like
low.
Jax rings out at 50%, you know, of a good person.
Oh no, way
so
below
he's
that.
Like the median.
He's
Is
like
Jax the median? Who would be the median? Austin, who like
oh my god.
Madison while he's pushing down his boner. Like who is like remember?
I mean, but we want more for the family karma men, but I have to say,
and so I'm just saying, like, we can't fault people. Like, this isn't like a normal male. Again, we're Jax Taylor, which Andrew and I talk about more often than not about when Jax stole the sunglasses from the sunglass hut in Hawaii
and spent the like night in jail, right?
But then he had to go back for trial or something. It was like, but that's our median.
Up. Like, why did he steal those sunglasses? We will never know.
I mean, like, it just it makes no fucking sense.
No.
Like these or like, you know, we have Vicky, like Vicky's ex, Vicky G's ex from OC lying about cancer.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We have these terrible,
but
like,
that's
can you think
not
of
this.
other?
No, this is like, here's what I'm just going to say. I do think something happened that was Monica would be upset about. I
like
don't know if it was
nefarious?
like full on cheating or what was happening, but like, I feel like there's too much specific information like about the text
Can you go
message.
through the specific? Okay, go through the specific information, because I think like a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think like if I was him, I would be like oof, like loosening my tie a little bit, like off the hook, because so much drama is now about who said what rather than him getting like him maybe cheating on Monica. Does that make sense?
Well,
and now it's turned
and
into
that's
like
coming
who's
from
on
him.
first.
He's like gaslighting her. Like that when he says that whole crazy thing, like, why did Brian tell me to told her to like tell blah blah blah.
It is like
that is gaslighting, right? Like that is when you are trying to like turn the story into something else to deflect from
not quite Ralph gaslighting from Atlanta.
Yeah, no.
Remember Ralph?
No.
That is, but then that's a standard Bravo man.
Yes,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
Like we're working with the Ralphs. We're working with.
But
I'm trying to think of who else.
Rishi is different than that. But I mean, let's just talk about him throughout the episode because we see him a lot talking to different people about the situation. And like the conversation with Amrit at the bachelor party where they like go outside and he's like, Amrit, I wish you had come to me, like all this stuff. And Amrit's like, I know what it's like to.
They're not bros though, really, right?
I think Amrit is absolutely more loyal to Monica than Rishi, right? That's what it seems like to me. But like, I've heard it like, you said, I think Sneha said it in our last recap, and other people have said it too on social media. He's very robotic when he talks about it. Like, it's very like
who?
Rishi. He's like, yeah, it shouldn't have been like this. Like, all these things like, no, I never lied to you, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, it's like smooth to the point of being robotic almost, where I think it's starting to be like, okay, this is a little too even keel here. Like
it's orchestrated? Are you saying he orchestrated it before he was going to address it?
I don't think he orchestrated
to make sure his ducks in a row?
I don't think he orchestrated it.
Wait,
I think
orchestrate it means you...
Like you planned something.
You draw out the plans? Yeah, like you need to plan it. Like you need to have the blueprint before you start talking about it.
I don't think he has a blueprint. I think he's trying to do damage control. And I think he's trying to just like play it as cool as possible to try and like bring down any suspicion. But it's so cool that it's like, now I'm even more suspicious. That's kind of what I feel. I don't know. What do you think?
I think it's interesting that like, the call, and this is not call coming from inside the house, meaning him. Yeah. It's like the call's coming inside the house of your family.
Yeah. Oh my God. So that
you know what I mean?
Okay. So
it's not like some random, like, you know, girl on
No, it's
Instagram.
Your brother and his girlfriend. And that
Did
is
the brother say something?
We're not seeing any of that. I'm like, wouldn't you be fucking
told you, I was
mad
like,
at your...
get them on our podcast. Raise your hands.
Oh my gosh. So Nirja,
if you would like things,
Nirja posted some stuff in her Instagram stories, which I put in a reel on our Instagram, and then she asked me to take it down because she said it wasn't.
Which we respect.
Yeah, she said it wasn't about Rishi and Monica or Rishi, and that it was about like someone else, something with a relationship, and she didn't want to like rock the boat with the family. And
so
I was
it
like,
just happened to come up on the same week that this...
I'm not sure I believe that. I'm not sure
Jan.
I believe it.
I'll say sure, Jan, that meme. Look it up.
Yeah, she said, so basically...
But we respect. We'll take down whatever you want because it's like we're not out to fucking get anyone.
No, I'm
it's
not
a gotcha
trying to...
podcast.
And I'm not trying to mess with people's families. And that's the part that
That was a good point. When you said that, Indra, I was like, that's why... I mean, one of the reasons why I love you, because it's like we're not... You're not doing that. No. You know, we're not...
No, it's not... like, whatever it was, whatever. But like Nirja and Rish and Sonat are a part of this whole equation. And I'm like, Rishi, like, what is going on with your like, this is like a crisis within your family, kind of like with your brother and his girlfriend.
Could you imagine, like, if you and I had the kid? Okay, so I actually was thinking during this episode, because I watched it like an hour ago or an hour and a half. Mm-hmm. And like, I think with Amrit, like, I sympathize a little bit of letting the cat out of the bag because it's like, have you ever had information and it's just burning on the tip of your tongue and you're just like, I gotta get it out. Yeah. And then on top of that, you're anxious about it. It's not even gossipy, but then you have the cameras on you and then you have probably a producer being like, what'd you hear?
Oh my God.
What are you gonna tell?
Yeah.
How can we set what dinner or lunch or breakfast do you want us to set up tomorrow?
Andy had 9 mimosas.
and you're like, do you want to tell Monica tomorrow? And you're like, fuck no, you know what I mean? And they're like, but we got to set something up tomorrow. I think like the thing is we forget, and I always say with Vishal and the drinking, I'm not excusing it, But the pressure, it's not just you and I talking on a podcast or talking like over a beer or whatever. There's producers in the ear. You know what I mean? It's the same thing of
That's
Giselle.
a really good point.
I mean, Giselle is like getting real dirty on Potomac, but Giselle is just like stirring the turd because the producers are like,
someone's got to do it. Yeah. And Amrit is like doing the most this season, I have to say.
And you can tell the regret of just like on his face.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
But when he was talking to Rish and he was like, Rishi, I know what it like. I'm a guy too. I know what it's like to think with your dick.
Wow. When he said that, I was like, good for you for
is
like
basically saying like, I think this might be true. That was how I read
like,
that.
This is some good cop, bad cop shit. Right? They brought the good cop in. Maybe Monica was like bad cop, and then it's like, here comes good cop, and it's like,
oh my
putting
God.
the pictures on the table and being like, I know how it goes. I know how it goes. Isn't it?
It really was. And Rishi just held to his story. And like, and then when Bali at the party is like, if any of this is true, like, see you later. And he's like, oh yeah, totally. You know, like
it's so interesting because if he is lying, it's like people who are able to lie. I'm not saying he is, but like people who are, and it's even more so because I feel like if people lie with that calm demeanor, you're actually convincing yourself like you didn't, because we can convince ourselves. I mean, look at like politics right now.
We can convince ourselves we didn't go. They're like, I didn't murder that person.
Gravity doesn't exist. You know what I mean? We didn't go to the moon.
Oh
you
my
know the
God.
Moon? You can convince yourself of anything. And so it's like, if it
Yeah.
comes out that he's cheating, he really will fill in like the typical male Bravo celebrity of like, you convince yourself that things are good and like nothing happened. And it's just like, we don't want this for the Family Karma cast with a C.
No, we really don't. And I really don't want this for Monica. Like, so she says in her confessional, like, I'm going to give him time to kind of like prove himself again. And,
but then they're talking about engagement.
I know. I know. And I think that's what she means by prove himself, which is like, you know, there's just so many layers.
I was thinking she's going to be like, if he needs to like pull the trigger. And like, we want to confirm, right? They follow each other right now.
They are following each other now, but they didn't for many months. And she removed all the pictures of them together, I think, from her feed. So
I think can I also keep something in mind?
Yeah,
Sorry, I just want to like, he is a newfound celebrity. And I think we see with like hot guys on Bravo, it's like you get like, you have the dating
the women
pool
are in your DMs.
But then it's like when you get that first season, I'm not saying the person necessarily changes, they can, but it's a whole other pool of women. It's a whole other attraction of women and men, you know, whatever floats your boat. And I think it's just like some people cave and some people don't. On Bravo, we usually see it cave and cheating and you know, we see it a lot in Vanderpump, of course.
Oh my God. I mean, and we're in this DM culture where like all these hot women in Miami are probably reaching out to Rishi on a daily basis.
Or you see him at bottle service and you're at a club and you're there to meet someone.
And he parties a lot. And Bali says like he parties a lot and like he's in the restaurant business. Like he's making contacts, he's making connections. Like it's part of his professional life to be out.
So there is those layers, right? Because then on top of it, you're now a Bravo celebrity.
Yes. So,
and that's why it's like we never see like, we've seen so many people in the Bravo world, especially on Housewives. How many marriages like really like make it through? Like Dorit and PK are still together. Like
I know
Kyle and Mauricio, which it's like there's been questions.
But all of them have had cheating rumors. Like it's like it's never simple. So okay. So Brian and Amrit meet to talk about what went down, and Amrit's like, Brian, you see how this looks, right? Like it looks like you're trying to like give him a heads up. And honestly, there's no other way to read it. Brian did say though, which is along the family lines, he's like, I wanted to give him a heads up because these are his family members that are talking about shit.
Wow,
which
I didn't hear that part. That makes sense.
it does make sense, right? Like, I do think that makes sense. But I also know that Brian, he said to Anisha, like, it's bro code. And it's like, okay, Brian, like, fuck bro
I'm not
code.
into that. I'm not. Have I told you about that meme I just learned about, like Saturdays for the boys?
No. What is that?
Oh my God. I was like, I've never been so sick about something my whole life. Like,
I
wanted
can
to
just
vomit.
picture
So I guess
how disgusting it is, like, without knowing
it's just
anything.
like, yeah, like I guess like, so people in class were showing me, they're like, I'm the oldest, so they're like, you've never heard Saturdays for the boys or whatever, and it'll be like posters of like, oh yeah, we can like hang out on Friday, but Saturday's always for the boys. And I'm like, I do not appreciate this culture at all.
That like makes me want to actually throw up. Like, are you fucking
I know.
kidding
And it'll
me?
be like a wedding picture and all the groomsmen will be lined up and they'll have like a banner that says Saturdays for the boys and they're all like tossing back Molsons and shit.
And
I'm
it's like, this is your wedding day? Like, what the
I know.
Oh my
and that's what it gives me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or like, don't bother me when the game's on. Like,
Oh my
really?
God.
You know what I mean?
How can we become so... It's just... how many times have I said the phrase toxic masculinity on this podcast? Like, there we go. Just more of it. And like, Brian is
Imagine if I was like, periods for the girls. Like, don't bother me for 5 days.
Can we start a meme?
My girlfriends are the only ones allowed to call me during my period and bother me. Like,
oh my
periods
God,
for the girls.
5 days off. Oh
Bleedings for the girls.
God. Oh my God. I mean,
I
Brian,
feel like I bring up periods on this. I know people are like, I want to barf, but hey,
no, whatever.
Reproductive rights, like
No. Brian, we love Brian. Like, I love Brian. I do think he does have a bit of this like dude bro
Arrested
thing.
Development.
Yeah.
Is that mean to say? Is
What?
that too harsh? It might be Arrested Development or not
Well,
really.
in some aspects, right? Like, I think he would admit to that too in some ways. But I mean, he acknowledges that like he was wrong. Amrit acknowledges that like he should have said something to Monica way before he did. And then he's like, I'll be sad if you don't come to the bachelor party. Like, you're invited. The Brian was so excited when he said he could come. And yeah. And then they have like a little chat about Avni, like what's going on and like whatever. So we know she's going to be there. So, and then they have these little, like, the scenes with the parents in the confessionals asking them about bachelor parties.
Right.
And so Amrit's parents are like, no, we never, like, what's a bachelor? We didn't even know what that was. But Brian's dad was like, what did he say? It was like
boob pictures?
He went to a bachelor party in St. Louis and there were like pictures of women like in his bedside table that Brian saw, and he was like, whoa.
I know. And like, I don't know. I kind of respect, I mean, I don't know. People have different relationships. I was going to say, unless you're having sex with someone, for your bachelor, or bachelorette, which happens. Like, it
does, yeah.
What are your feelings about bachelor and bachelorette parties? Do you have any?
I don't think they're an excuse to cheat on your partner who you're going to marry, like sometimes the next day or whatever.
Yeah.
But I think it's like a fun way to get together with your friends and like do whatever you want. Like, I don't think you have to have like for women or men, like you don't have to have strippers. Like, if you want to go and have like a wellness retreat with your friends, or you want to just
I would take that over. I mean, I'm for strippers. I'm very much for strippers, but I would take like a spa retreat over strippers any day.
Oh my God, I know. It's like, what I like about them is I think it's an opportunity for the bride and groom or whoever that's getting married to like do something fun that they want to do.
Exactly.
With their friends and whoever. And yeah, but like the whole culture around it, I don't know.
Like getting blackout and like having sex with someone and
Yeah,
that's not your partner. And if that's your
if that's what you want
arrangement,
to do,
I fully support it.
that could be fine for some relationships. You don't
If it's
know.
like a White Lotus situation where it's
Yeah.
like you both are gonna do your own thing.
Yes, definitely. Okay, so then they're getting ready for the bachelor party. Theo's going. Theo, I loved all the shots of Theo.
I know, and I loved. Did you see that when they were all taking shots, they had a shot of Theo drinking water out of his bowl?
Oh, I missed that. Oh, that's so
Isn't
cute.
that so cute? They were all taking shots, and it's just like a quick of Theo just like drinking out of his bowl. I was like, yes, everyone needs to take a little bit of some liquid.
I love it. I love that they just rented like a sweet house. Amrit said it's in, I don't know what neighborhood it was, but he called it the Gayborhood of Miami.
I love it.
There was a pool in the back. Like their friends look so fun. Like their friends from Chicago came. It seemed like a really fun party.
So Amrit is going back there to work as a partner. I guess I'm just like curious about those facts.
Oh, like his professional thing? Yeah.
Yeah.
So like he came back to Miami
because they bought the condo
a couple years ago. Yeah, I think at this point.
But I thought he was going back and forth.
No. Now they live in Miami, like full time. He just works in the office there, and now he's a partner, which is amazing. Okay, so then they show this scene of Vishal and Richa at this apartment they're staying at, which is one of Lopa Auntie's properties in Miami, while they're waiting to close on like another house or something. So this conversation, let's just talk about the whole arc with Vishal in this episode, from this conversation through to the end where he admits that he thinks he has a drinking problem. So I mean, I think, again, it's like we see Richa, like, just being like, it's not about, like, me expecting blah, blah, blah. It's like, I want you to live. Like, I'm worried about your house. She says, like, I want you to live. And, like, I don't know what it's like to have Crohn's. I don't know enough about the disease.
Yeah.
But she said in the confessional that, like, fatigue is part of it. Like, I'm imagining like major GI stuff probably comes up after like a night of binge drinking or whatever. And it's probably like if you lose enough water in your body, like it can be life threatening, I would imagine. Right? Like,
I'm sure.
And she's just like, he can't black out every weekend, and she says to him, like, I feel like I'm not worth coming home to. Like, she was really expressing a lot of hurt around all of this. And another thing she said that was interesting to me was she said she wasted money on the wedding, and now Vishal wants her to put money into the house that they're gonna buy. But she's not. But then that ties into the like marriage part of it and signing the marriage license and stuff like that. So there's definitely some other dynamics going on with them beyond just drinking, like around financial stuff, which I think is also a real thing in many relationships, and kind of the commingling of their assets at this point. Like they're buying a place together potentially, and Vishal says, like, I think it's important for you to like be in on it financially with me, and like, so those are things they so haven't worked out either, you know?
Yeah, well, it's so hard to jump from, like, I think this happens, and we've talked about it with weddings and stuff. You want to get to the nitty gritty of, okay, let's buy the house, and not taking care of like the garbage surrounding your trash can. As like, you know, as the Toltec things talks about, if you've read that book, The Four Agreements by Miguel Ruiz. But it's like, you need to clean up the garbage before you kind of like have aspects to literally build a house with someone, which is what he wants to do, or purchase property. And
it's like there's more going on, I think, in their conversations around their relationship than just the drinking issue. And
it's hard because they've been doing long distance for so long, and it's like taking the next step.
And it's not going to be a traditional sort of setup, because they have said they're going to have a place in Memphis and a place in Miami. So maybe it's like Richa wants to buy the place in Memphis and Vishal will own the place in Miami or whatever. I don't know. It just sounds like they haven't really worked those things out completely in this scene. Like maybe since then they have. We'll find out more, I guess. But like this is all stuff that would be so great for Watch What Happens Live. I just have to say once again, like having these people on to like get more information about what's going on and whatever. Like I wish the network would do more with that. But anyway,
I think this is a good lesson though. Well, not the Watch What Happens, but it's like pay attention to the conversations you have with your partner, boyfriend, friend, or whatever. And it's like, what are they asking for?
Yeah.
And what do I need and what do they need to get there? And then it's like, sometimes like you're just talking past each other because like Vishal wants the real estate stuff taken care of. And then Richa was just like, I need the, life stuff.
Yeah. And like,
especially regarding your health, which is huge to create a life together. And it just seems like at first they were missing the mark with each other.
Yeah. And so at the bachelor party, so Vishal is in a bad place, doesn't go to the first day of the bachelor party, and then shows up with Richa the second day, and Richa decides to not drink in solidarity with him, which a lot of people have been like commenting about, like if she wants him to make this change, like she needs to do it too.
I guess it is our business.
I mean, I don't know how I feel about that.
Shay. Remember Sheena Shea when her do you remember when her ex-husband got sober and she's like, yeah, she was like getting hammered in front of him. Do you remember that? She was justifying. Oh,
yeah. The one that they ended up getting divorced.
Yeah, it was something interesting. Like, and again, I think Bravo shows us a lot of different angles for substance misuse, abuse, or maybe not so much of like, Sheena Shea was justifying, like if she monitored his alcohol intake. Do you remember this? Like it was fine.
I know. I mean, I don't think that there's a right answer, honestly.
No. And I don't think
someone in a couple is getting sober, like I don't think there's a right answer for how the other person needs to handle that.
No.
Because it's probably different for every person, and everyone's addictions probably look different than other people's, I would imagine.
Yeah. I mean, there's different angles of doing, addiction stuff. There's like harm reduction, which is like you're not going to get blackout drunk.
Yeah.
And you're going to have like a drink or two and monitor it, which is hard to do with alcohol.
Yeah.
Or there's just like the abstinence, like basically 12-step where it's just like I can't even touch it. And like how the other person responds. And that's when it's so interesting because like I think you listen to this podcast and I don't, but like I read the headlines of like the Kristen Bell and Dak Shepard stuff is so interesting because it's like he's sober and she talks a lot about using certain things.
Does she? So I've not, like I stopped listening to the podcast because it's Spotify only and I don't use Spotify. But I mean, she was never on the podcast. So the only part of the story I heard was from Dax. And I guess I always assumed that maybe Kristen was sober too.
No, she even talked about, I think she smokes pot and she drinks. And she even talked about she did mushrooms lately and he got them for her.
Okay.
Because he which is like, to each their own, but it's just like there's all these different ways of approaching your partner getting sober. And I think it's just, I want to say, only a qualified clinician can like, 1, assist, 2, provide input, and 3, like create the course for the couple.
Yeah, I'm really glad you said that, like, because this is something that's pretty serious, and like it doesn't matter what my opinion is or your opinion or anyone on social media.
We only see a little bit of these two people, like their relationship, and there's basically like there's so much low self-efficacy and shame tied to drinking and substance abuse and alcoholism and what have you, that it's like we all have shame and we all have a bit of low self-efficacy, but like we all have to deal with it differently. And some of us like work out a lot and some of us drink, and it's like we can't really comment on someone else's shame.
Yeah.
I just feel like it's just so judgmental, and especially this is why people have a problem talking about, recovery and trying to get sober, because there is so much dialogue out there on social media commenting on people of how, they're doing things incorrectly. It's like, we have such a problem in this country with addiction. It's like I think it is so much a problem, more so than ever before. It's a bipartisan issue, and it's not talked about enough because there is so much judgment and shame surrounding it. And it's like, we're not doing it any justice when we look at Vishal and we say, well, they need to do this. They need to do this. And why aren't they doing this? Because that's just putting that energy out there that makes it so stigmatized and makes things so hidden. And that's why you have people going in the garage and sneaking the vodka during the Christmas parties because they're embarrassed, and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's my thing. It's, again, I'm like studying all this shit and to be a clinician that treats people with it. But like, I just think it's like the time people are dying. Like we can't shame people.
Well, this is one of the first times I've seen on Bravo at the end of the episode, someone so clearly say, I have a problem. Like at the start of, like, they haven't worked through it yet. They're like in the middle of the problem. Like, he's talking to Amrit about like why he couldn't be there that first day and how it's connected to these drinking issues. And he's in real time saying like, I do think I have an issue with alcohol, and he's clearly at the very beginning stages of like figuring this out, right? And like that, I don't think I've seen that on Bravo before. Like, I've seen people get sober and talk about it.
When Luann was arrested in actually Miami for public intoxication.
So I haven't seen that season. Does she actually like go through the sobriety thing on camera?
I mean, Luann's, I don't want to say she's tragic, but it is a struggle with Luann for a lot of reasons. With privilege and stuff. But Luann, she struggles with sobriety. She struggles with sobriety. And that is something where we have seen her try to get sober through abstinence, and then doing like the harm reduction, and then it kind of spins out and stuff like that. And it's
I guess we do see that a lot. But like, to see someone like saying it on camera to their friend so earnestly.
Did Erica say it? I forget. At the end of the season, did she think she had a problem?
But everything on Beverly Hills feels so staged to me.
Yeah, that's so true.
I don't know. This just felt really authentic. Maybe it's like we have seen it on Bravo before, but this felt very, very real to me in a way that, I don't know, kind of just struck a chord with me. And I think that like it's interesting to see Vishal like say this at this point. And it'll be interesting to see how the season progresses, and then what we see afterwards, Yeah,
I really think like we need to have, like, and I say this a lot, like more compassion with other people, because it is like, I do believe it's a reflection of compassion with ourselves, because it's like such a struggle to be compassionate with yourself. And I believe it's all tied. You know what I mean? Because it's like we want to hold other people accountable. And have the bar at a certain way. And I do believe it's the same way with our internal dialogue of like, well, I should be here. And so I'm not going to be compassionate with myself. And so therefore I'm going to not be compassionate with people I see on screen.
Yeah.
And I just want to keep throwing that out there, because it's like, there's enough bullies. There's enough people out there that are, our policy right now, and I'm going to go on, does not support addiction. The average stay for treatment is like $1,000 a day, and insurance is not paying for it for a majority of people. And so it's like, why not, I always believe, do the punk rock thing. And I'll say it just like, do the opposite of what the government's doing. Like, have compassion for people that want to get treatment, no matter if it's inpatient or with, just trying to be sober or whatever. Like, go against the grain in that. You want to say fuck the government, then have compassionate for people that want to get sober and go through, addiction treatment, whether on their own or with a structured system, because it's like the government doesn't have compassion for it. So let's go above and beyond and have compassion for it.
Yeah.
I know I'm like
Absolutely.
ranting, but I just like, I don't think we talk enough about addiction in this country and how serious it is and what lack of compassion we have for people who struggle with it.
Yeah, totally. I think that's really true. And I guess that brings up the whole thing of Amrit was so mad at Vishal for not coming to the first day of his party, and then they have this conversation, and it feels like it's very complicated, right? Like
It's like it's Amrit's big day, and then it's also like they're
Vishal's
both
in
like
crisis.
turning this chapter. If we
Yeah.
think of these books of our lives, Amrit's turning into the chapter of like, okay, this is the first step to the wedding season or whatever it is, and then Vishal's turning this chapter of like, okay, I need to really dissect my relationship with alcohol and mental health and all these
Yeah.
Crohn's disease and all these layers, low self-efficacy, being the life of the party. And it's like the chapter is not turning on the same page. You know, Amrit's like page
Exactly.
110 and
Yeah.
like Vishal's is, and they're two different books, is page 20.
Exactly.
And so it's like,
and they're both reading at their own places, and they're not seeing where the other one is
and
in the
it's
plot.
understandable that it's going to be an ongoing conversation. And it's like so hard for us to look at life through, like, we have our own lenses, you know,
Yeah.
and doing like being in someone else's shoes is very hard, especially in these crossroads in our lives.
Yeah. I mean, when Amrit's like, I've been there for him for all of the stuff through his wedding.
get
Why
it.
can't he be there for me? Absolutely get it. Vishal's like, I'm going to lose my marriage. I'm dealing with
I
these
get it.
very huge, like big existential things in my life. Like, I couldn't be there. Like, I get that too. It's like totally, that's such a good way to explain it, Deanna. And I think that, like, yeah, there's no like team Amrit or Vishal on this one. It's just like
No.
we're seeing this very real dynamic between friends dealing with big
This
life
isn't
things.
a Team Diana versus Team Sutton situation.
No.
You know what I mean? Like this is very complicated, which it's like, I did feel bad with Diana, and congratulations to her. I hear she's pregnant
She's
again.
pregnant
that
again. And she's
she lost her
49.
baby. Good for her. You
That's
know, but
wild.
I know.
Kenya had her baby
know.
at 49 too, actually.
Did she?
Yeah.
I know she was older. And like, you know, we can't help but think of this Christmas season of Diana's husband singing those Christmas tunes
Christmas
and Erica singing along. So I just
Asher,
want to
what a
touch, because a year ago this season, we saw a truly iconic
Oh my God.
in Housewives history. So shout out to a first year anniversary to that.
Yeah, totally. Okay. The other thing is that, back to the Rishi situation, Amrit and
Yeah.
Nicholas, when Rishi shows up, they are apologizing left and right to this man.
Good job, Rishi. Good job.
Oh
for
my
turning.
God.
I'm trying to think of, I'm not saying he's a manipulator, but like it is very like Ralph, and like who else is a gaslighter on the Housewives? Like who's a great
there's
gaslighter?
so many. Like, I haven't seen all of
Bethany?
Miami yet, but Lenny, it seems like, probably is.
Oh, I've been reading headlines. I'm like, what is going on with this messiness?
Yeah, there's so many people who are just monsters.
I love
on
how
Bravo.
the thesis of this is like
like-
monsters on Bravo, but we don't
And I
think
don't
Kast
think
and Family
Rishi's a
Karma
monster.
are
No,
involved in that.
I don't
like,
think Rishi is a
classification.
monster.
I
I do
don't.
think
I
that he
don't.
maybe took some missteps in whatever's going on here, and I hope we get answers about it. Can I just say that Monica showing up to the bachelor party with a bottle of red wine in the sunny Miami weather was like such a move.
That is a
I
move.
loved it.
You know, the taste of thick red wine going in your mouth on like a
Oh my
90-degree
God.
day in
It's
Miami
like,
is not my
I'll
thing.
have a glass of
Yeah.
Merlot. It's so funny. And Brian is like going to
know.
the mall with his mom to get rainbow clothing. Like, oh my gosh. Brian is such a mama's boy. It's so funny. Okay, so then we kind of talked about Amrit and Vishal's thing, and Bali speaks to Rish, and she says, like, she gives him kudos for like even being at the party, but then kind of turns and is like, if any
Yeah.
of this is true, like, not good. And yeah, it's and then we see Avni and Brian kind of
they
like
French
flirting
in
and
the,
everyone's telling them to kiss
yeah.
in the pantry. Yeah, they definitely did. You hear the little kissing sounds. So something is going on between them. But she also says in the confessional, she's like, Brian's going to be a great guy for someone else. Like, so we already know they're not together. Like, that's clear. Which was an interesting move, I thought, for them to be like, not even have any questions around that. They're like, honest, they're not dating.
Brought in for another face, right? And I'm not saying shade, but like they wanted to bring new blood into it.
Can we get Neerja on the show? Like, why isn't
her?
Neerja on the show?
I want to get her on this podcast.
Oh my God. Well, I DM'd with her a little. She seems nice.
I know. Is it shady
DMs
if we get her on this podcast? Is it like
no?
Okay.
Listen, we're in the wild west out here on our podcast. We do
we're
whatever
the sheriff,
and
I'm also like the saloon owner. You know what I mean? We're Andrew, who are you in the Wild West?
I don't know. I'm like the tumbleweed, like rolling around.
No. Actually, like I think.
No, I'm just like I'm catching a little bit of everything.
Okay, I love it. You're like bringing in like the produce, and I'm like, okay. I was like, can you run like the shopping, like you're doing the market and stuff.
Yeah,
you're
like the person out in the cart, like selling produce to people.
Oh my God, I love that.
I'm into that. I think so. I think that's like pretty much everything. Oh, the other thing that I thought was funny was when Richa was like, Vishal, I'm going to be your sober sister. And he's like, no, you're not my
Those
sister.
two, I do love them. And let's have compassion because it's like, I want relationships to work. I don't want like negative relationships to work, but I'm here for a good relationship and for people to work it out.
And they're talking about stuff and they're working through it. And like, timelines are messy, especially when you get together in your early 20s, which they did.
Oh, I couldn't even imagine.
Sometimes things happen without you even realizing they're happening, and then you need to go back and rewind and figure stuff out. And
you do need to rewind.
Yeah. And I think and I'm seeing pictures of them. They're in Patagonia together right now, like gorgeous hiking.
And the thing is, I always say it's like, you don't want to see my greatest misses. If you saw my greatest, like my YouTube reel of my greatest misses, no one would be on my team. Could you imagine?
Think that we're all like holier than thou is just a mistake.
Imagine your reel of greatest misses. Like
there are too many.
It's like no one. We wouldn't be rooting for anyone.
No. And I think, like you said, we need to have compassion for everyone because none of us are getting everything right 100% of the time.
I'm not saying like greatest misses have to be Jen Shaw cheating people and their mom out of their retirement.
No,
like that's and it's interesting because people have more compassion. I feel like sometimes for like people like Jen Shaw, these like figures that she's going to go to jail. She's admitted that
she's getting sentenced. Isn't it like tomorrow or something? It's sometime soon. I swear it's in December, or maybe it keeps getting pushed back.
It's so wild, especially on the latest episode where she just like lies and lies. And
I'm not even watching it, to be honest.
It's so just like she took someone's shoes. They were on a boat and she is just like stirring the turd nonstop and picking fights. She took this woman's $2,000 brand new Louis Vuitton shoes or whatever and threw them off the boat and lied about them, was like, I didn't do that. Like literally threw them off the boat after she poured champagne over her head.
Whoa. Okay. I have no words for that, really.
Yeah. I mean, there's a darkness. There is such a darkness. And,
Speaking of darkness, okay, let's talk about White Lotus because if you have not seen White Lotus, you need to watch it right now. I actually think I liked season 2 more than season 1.
I give season 2 a B+.
Really? Okay. Yeah. I liked the setting so much. So like I felt like I loved just seeing them at that beautiful hotel and in Italy and the like piazzas and everything. I was just taken with that. Like Hawaii felt like cheesy to me a little.
See, I'll take it all. Get me out of cold, like 25 degrees, right? Colorado.
Okay,
get me
so
out
you
of
give
here.
it a B+. Why is it not an A?
I just like I knew kind of what was going on.
Yeah, like that she was getting scammed and all of that.
I knew the second they met, I was like, oh, they're gonna scam her.
Well, I mean,
and I'm not saying
it was a little too like. why are they complimenting her so much? Like, what is going on here? I admit I didn't catch on to it until like 1 or 2 episodes into them all meeting. But you know something's afoot because you see her husband having that conversation on the balcony.
I didn't realize the husband was tied in.
I didn't realize that, and that he was like the lover of that guy. That was wild. I mean, I'm seeing so many people on social media just like so mad that they killed off Jennifer Coolidge because they love her so much and they feel like she is the show.
I thought her character development. Okay, so this is what I said to Andrew. I was like, the choices that they're making from a character point of view do not add up at the end of the season.
Yeah. Okay, like give some examples.
I think Jennifer Coolidge's character almost became a caricature. And that was I loved her in the first season and I felt like she was doing what she had to do. Of course, she's a great actress. But I felt like it was just so like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? And it's not even from like a sane point of view. It's just like she wasn't like, it was just like they took her a little, the writing's great. They just took her a little too far.
I don't know. I've heard that criticism from others and I'm hearing you say it. And I see a little bit of that. And I also feel like like the Oreo cookie cake line when she's like at the buffet. She's at the buffet of this like delicious food. She's like, "Do you have any Oreo cookie cake?" and then at the end, I was chatting with cousin Mary about this. What did she say? She loved it too. We should have her like come on and just say what she thinks. But the end, like when she has the gun and the point of view is just you're seeing her face as she's just like waving this gun around and shooting it. And then you see that she's actually shot everyone. I was laughing out loud watching her face because it was so ridiculous. And then you see the horror of what she's done. And it's like the emotions that you swing between, like with her character and the comedy and like the horrific things that also happen on the show, I think is so genius. And I feel like she's at the crux of a lot of that. So I appreciate her, but I do think it was her time to be off the show.
And I think like it's hard for me to watch a show where I'm not rooting for anyone. Yeah. And at the end of that show, I was not rooting for anyone but the hookers. She's the only one who I was like, get it, queen. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I was like, you like play that boy and get your 50,000 lira and like just go.
And the manager, I felt like with her, I was rooting for. But I guess that's.
I loved her. I love how she like didn't become sour again. Do you know what I mean? Like she could have. Yeah. But she just kind of took it for what it was. Like she was just appreciative to have unlocked this part of her life after so long. Like I actually really liked the piano player one. I liked her a lot. Mia.
They were, again, the acting was great, but I was like, I don't know. I was just like not really rooting for anyone. And
not in season 1 either, though. I hated everyone. I'm trying in season
I don't even. It's so bad because I don't even really remember. Season
it was that
1.
awful couple. It was the amazing hotel manager.
I loved him.
Played
and shout out, he's in Chippendales. And if anyone's not, he's in Chippendales right now. So
I heard the interview with Kumail on Fresh Air. Highly recommend to anyone who hasn't listened to it yet. Because he talks about so many things that are so important to the South Asian experience, particularly his as someone who grew up in Pakistan and then emigrated to the U.S. Like he has a really interesting perspective on things, and he talks about like his body image. Gosh, he came for college, I believe. Okay, and I can't recall where he went. But he talks about like the thirst pick of him like super buff and how he feels about that, which is really interesting. And I have to watch the show. It looks amazing.
And he's in Avatar too, right? Is he in Avatar?
I don't know. Is that out yet?
Yes. I think the opening night is tomorrow or tonight.
Shit. I actually do want to see that. Because I feel like the first Avatar was so like mind blowing.
For me, I was like, you couldn't get me out of there fast enough.
That does not surprise me.
I assigned Andrew to take the kids because I was like, there's no way I will
Please
sit through.
tell me it's not in 3D because the
They have
3D
the option.
thing. I don't like 3D movies.
Makes me
I just
sick.
don't. It makes me feel sick too. Exactly. What was the other thing? Potomac. I know this is like going really long.
No, it's okay.
but
Potomac is on fire. On fire.
Yes.
When
Best Housewives show.
like it was
by
crazy.
far.
It was like, oh, they went out, and then when Ashley points the camera to the ceiling and Candace just flips.
Oh my God. On Robin and
My
I
gosh.
know.
There's so much, and it's like these women are so funny, and I will refer to my next birthday as 4-2. You will not convince me to say 42. Shout out to Karen 5'9".
5'9".
And
5'9".
a birthday that's never lasted. Like it was a 4-week birthday.
Oh my God. She was just like, let's do this thing. Karen is she was entertaining to see on Watch What Happens Live because she just is who she is.
Can you believe that they're bringing up and what's going to happen in the second part where it's like, oh, she was having sex with the help in the bathroom?
Oh my God.
Like you cannot even make this up.
Like Karen was? Is that what they're saying? It was Karen?
That's what it says
my
in the previews.
God.
Like Karen was having sex with the help in their bathroom.
So all I'll say is that if you're not watching Potomac, you really should.
How good do you think it's incredible?
It's the only Housewives show that I'm actually interested in anymore. I feel like even Beverly Hills has lost me. So
do you know what I asked? So Andrew watches it now, and I watches it.
I love that.
I made him because he was calling it the Wendy Show, and then I was like, well, so he's watched the last 4 because I would get stressed out at school on Tuesday nights, and then I'd be like, okay, we have to go and watch Potomac was my come down, and so I'd eat a plate of pasta, and he would just literally just be sitting next to me.
While
and
you're
we'd
watching.
watch Potomac, but he was like, I was like, who do you think? Don't you think Giselle and Robin and all these people are pretty? And he's like, no. He's like, I don't see it, but he thinks like Candace is pretty, thank God, and Ashley's
Candace
pretty.
is pretty.
I mean, Candace is like, she is giving looks this season. I think
Giselle and Robin don't have great style. They're not
That's
helping
true.
themselves out. They are beautiful. Like, I'm surprised. I mean, I think Robin and Giselle are two of the most gorgeous women, like truly. And like all of the women, I was actually noticing that this time around. I was like, Wendy's looking really awesome.
They are all
like,
gorgeous.
Candace is so fucking
Everyone
beautiful.
is so beautiful. And Ashley's
Karen,
never looked better than ever after like dumping that troll. That troll.
I know. Troll.
Michael.
Troll.
That Michael
Talk
Darby.
about gaslighting. Michael Darby.
Okay, we should wrap this up.
I actually have to go. So this was a extra long
You're welcome.
recap with other stuff.
Rate and review if you've gotten this far. We should put
we've gotten a few more ratings because in our last podcast when you weren't here, Deanna, I was telling people that we've had some negative reviews because I say like too much.
That's
and some other things, and so people have come through and
really
and put in some 5 stars and some better reviews for us. So thank you for doing that. Like in this season of giving, if you want to go ahead and press 5 stars for us, please do. Click it. And thank you so much for listening. There's one more episode on Sunday of Family Karma, and then they're taking a break for at least 2 or 3 weeks, I think. But we have had confirmation that there will be more episodes. So as soon as we know more, we'll let you know on social media. So join us on Instagram, Family Karma Kast with a K. Anything else?
No.
All right. Well, we love you guys. We'll back next week. Namaste, bitches.
Namaste, bitches.